would be helpful to your learning today?
So yesterday we went to the leadership training,
Yeah.
and someone in the class that I was there, in the seminar I was in, asked a really good question, and I don't feel like it actually got answered. Carl said it was because he wasn't clear in asking his question. I understood his question, but I don't think Kenton and Penny understood it. So he asked, basically, from what I understood, the essence of his question was, how do you continue the process of self-differentiation without this? Without the community group time, without, one-on-one supervision, stuff like that. What are practical ways that pastors can continue that process when we leave here? Other than taking another CPE.
Well, that is the first choice. That's always good.
I mean, in a wonderful world, I would be able to do that. But
so how was it answered?
That Kenton was offering a seminar this summer, and they could sign up for that, and that there was more CPE available. And I mean, in thinking through it, I was like, well, for me right now in my clergy peer group, I'm with people that have all been through CPE, so that is kind of helpful in itself. Like, it does, we don't frame it and use the words like, oh, I feel my 2 to 3% of self-differentiation growing, I don't use that language, but...
And not every CPE program, well, most CPE programs still use Bowen.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I asked that question yesterday,
primary.
too.
Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, I think it's great to be able to use a clergy peer group that you have some trust with, and you feel like you can say what you need to say.
Yeah.
With. What else would you think would be an availability for you?
Well, I was thinking, do you know what a daily examine is? So there's this spiritual, I would call it a spiritual discipline called a daily examine, and at the end of each day, it's a series of questions that you ask yourself, and you can either journal your answers or just reflect upon them, and they're questions like, where did I display the fruits of the Spirit today? Where did I sin? Where do I feel, what areas of growth do I need in? And I was like, oh, maybe I could do that, but like with an eye to what I've learned here, like take the examine that I have and fiddle with it and see what I could do. And John Wesley has a set of 22 questions that he used to ask in his Holy Club that are pretty exhaustive. But those you only use once a week. You don't use those every day. The examine's supposed to be for an everyday thing. I thought that would be a good place to start.
There's also coaching available through the Bowen
Oh, interesting.
Center.
I think he mentioned that.
Yeah. And they charge on a sliding scale. I haven't quite figured out whether they're able to do that, like on Zoom or something, or whether you have to drive into Georgetown.
Yeah.
But that is available.
Yeah. I might look into that. Even today, on the phone, I was talking on the phone a lot, sorry. I feel like when people talk on the phone, they're really loud, so I was like, I know Bill can hear everything I'm saying out here, but we had an incident with the KKK in Leesburg, and they used the cross and flame on their, so they used like the Methodist cross and flame on their flyers. And so my lay people, Jim's out of town, he's on vacation, and it came out like right before he left, and what he did was email all the lay leaders and say, hey, the cross and flame was on this, like, what do you think we should do? And then he left. I was like, why did you do that? You could have just emailed me and said, like, hey, this is something you should, know about. But anyways, so they're all emailing back and forth, and they were little, I was getting anxious watching the emails go back and forth. What should we do? Do we need to like make a statement? Blah blah blah. And even when I was talking with Daniel about it, because I was like, I'm emailing them back after I talked to the district superintendent, because basically what they wanted to know was like, is the conference handling this, or do we need to handle it? Do we need to say anything? I told Daniel, I was like, man, I got really sucked into their anxiety really fast, and like then after that phone conversation, I was like, wow, like that's impressive, Heather, that you were able to like, I wasn't able to beat the anxiety and not be a part of it, but I was able to step back and be like, wow, I really fed into that anxiety, I was able to name it, and I feel like that's my 2%, like that I was able to say like, yeah, I just let that anxiety kind of just take me over, and I didn't really need to, it was pressing, but it's not like it's in the news or people are calling the church about it and being like, excuse me, I saw that your cross and flame was on this. Are you endorsing the KKK? Nobody's doing that. Nobody even knows, like, beyond the 10 lay people, so, and our district superintendent and stuff, but I was pretty proud of myself. I was like, okay, that's some work right there.
So I hear you recognized in the moment what was happening, and you observed what your behavior was and wasn't in that. And, to me, I think the skill of self-observation is really a great skill to have. And it invites, just as you seem to use it, invites a pause, a breath, half a step backwards to be able to say, okay, what's going on here? What's my part of it? And what, so I think that's significant work.
Yeah, I think for me right now, when that does happen, for me it's really naming, okay, it happened, but then why? And so I think my anxiety in this whole thing is Jim's out of town. My district superintendent's away at cabinet, so there's nobody, like my normal, I'm very rarely left in charge, and I think my anxiety is coming out in that because, I even turned to Daniel. I noticed that I wasn't able to, like, just make the decision myself. I had to call my husband and be like, hey, what do you think about this, I wasn't able to just pull the trigger and be like, okay, I'm confident in myself. Like, I'm a clergy person. I can make this call. I can say what I need to say, and these are my lay people. This is my church, and they'll respect that. I mean, I did eventually, but after I talked to Daniel, and so I think it's interesting to me. So what is that about myself? Even now, just saying out loud, like, why don't I feel confident? Obviously, it's hitting something, but I'm not sure what that is or what that looks like. Man, your friends must be like, this girl. I do cry a lot, friends. I try to pretend that thing's not there, but I know it is, and I know, like, almost every single time I've come in, I've cried. But it's okay, because I'm learning it's just a response to, feelings. Although right now I'm not sure, like, what feeling that is. I don't know why tears are coming, but, I think it was good to be like, okay, I'm anxious about this. Why am I anxious about this? Oh, because there's no one here to direct me. Like, I don't feel prepared to direct myself to make this decision, which seems so big, which in the grand scheme of things really isn't. It's kind of big. And then in turn, and feeling like I couldn't make that direction, I deferred to my husband. So, it's just interesting. It's not wrong. I'm not trying to say, like, and therefore you're bad for doing that. It's just more like, okay, maybe that's a pattern. Maybe it isn't. I don't know. But I think it's probably a pattern for me to defer to others as opposed to, just going forward with what I think I should do. So.
I'm just curious, in your deference to others, do you think gender plays a role?
I think so. I think a little bit. I think part of here and not feeling authority. I definitely felt more authority at my previous church than I do here.
Mm-hmm.
I think I wasn't given authority here at Leesburg that I was given at my previous church, if that makes sense. Like, I wasn't at Bethlehem, people understood I was a minister, and here maybe they understand it, but I haven't felt that I am one. I'm not sure. But I definitely think it has to do a little bit with gender and with, I've never been one to, I'm not to say I'm never assertive. I am assertive sometimes. Sure, my mom would be like, or Daniel would be like, yeah, you're really assertive sometimes. I can't name it for myself right now, but I'm sure I am. But I would not say I'm a person that is assertive, and I think that was kind of taught to me. And I mean, women aren't really, when you're an assertive woman, people don't really have nice things to say about you a lot of the times. And I even am sometimes turned off by women that are like too assertive, even though sometimes I can step back and be like, well, she was just, saying what's on her mind. If that was a guy, like, would I have felt that way, so.
Well, I'm curious about that, and you're working with Angela.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you've described her, at least to me, as maybe having some assertiveness.
Yeah, she definitely does, which I think makes me a little bit not, which creates a barrier without her, just from her being her, it kind of creates a barrier, I'm sure, for me, because strong-willed women, sometimes I don't always get along with, but sometimes I think when you hear that, you think, oh, then that means you're a strong-willed person, because, you butt heads, but it's more like, ugh, stop being so aggressive, like, I don't need that. But then on the other end, like, I was just on the phone with one of my lay people who I remember, like, I'm talking with her about Stephen Ministries, and she's super assertive. Like, she used to work for the Department of Defense and was, like, the assistant to the director of the Department of Defense. So she's a very intense person, and she's talking to me, and I do remember reflecting in the phone conversation, like, I should really be, like, kind of turned off by you, because in my mind I've said, like, I don't like assertive women, and she's super assertive, but I'm not turned off by her at all. And I have another friend, Megan, who she's really assertive, but she's, like, one of my best friends. So I don't know what that is. Like, is it a certain type of assertive I don't like? Now, Terry, this woman that works with me on Stephen Minister, she's very bubbly. And so she's, like, assertive, but, like, still...
Charmingly so.
Yeah, charmingly assertive, yeah. Megan is the same way. She's not bubbly, but she has softness to her. Angela is assertive and just not bubbly and very hard. So maybe it's that type of assertive that I don't. Of course, I don't really like men that are like that either.
Okay, I was going to ask.
Yeah, I don't like
a difference in an assertive guy and
assertive
woman.
Yeah, no, because Wayne, who I work with on staff, he's pretty assertive, but like I like him because he's also kind and charming. But assertive men that are just, like, assertive and grumps, I'm like, ugh, I don't like you. I'm working with you. So, maybe I just don't like grumpy people. I don't know. But, yeah, I think in some sense, Angela probably just gets some knocks for that, for me anyways. I think I just find it harder to be around assertive people.
I guess part of me is just sort of observing. It's taken half a unit for me to see this. But when we were in the group,
Mm-hmm.
And somewhat even in our relationship, although I don't think it's quite as noticeable. But I've observed you giving deference to Sean and Carl, and some level me too.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just curious what that might mean. I mean, I recognize you're the only female in the group, and I would imagine that could be just
It's weird
a part
sometimes.
of a part. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, tell me
I mean,
how it's weird.
well, first off, this sounds so silly, but I don't know. Like sometimes I just am aware that I am not Carl and Sean. Like they, not because they do anything to make me. I just am not a boy. Sometimes when it comes down to, like, sometimes they'll talk about stuff or they'll quote stuff back to each other, and I'm like, no clue what you guys are talking about. And, you know, they'll be, like, carrying on at lunch and, oh, haha, remember this, you know, and that, and I'm like, no, I don't. And they'll be like, what do you mean you don't remember that? And I, like, in my mind, I'm like, because I'm a woman, and, like, I don't watch stupid shows like that, you know? Like, ask me about the stupid shows I watch, and you guys would have no clue what I'm talking about. So, yeah, there's definitely times where I'm like, yeah, okay, I'm the girl here. But it's, I mean, thankfully they're all married, and so it helps that they have wives, and we can talk about stuff like that. But, yeah, I think it's just, I don't talk in council meetings. I notice that about myself, which is interesting because, yeah, I don't know what that is. I don't know. I'd have to, like, think on that some more. Like, why?
Has that always been true?
I've always been shy and quiet. Yes.
Okay.
So, I think so. Now, around women, I'm not as much, but I think in mixed company I am more so. Yeah, I just am not one to. I don't know. I don't know if challenge is the right word, but just. I don't know. I just don't feel the need to insert myself sometimes.
Well, you know, as you have talked over the last 3-4 sessions, I guess, about the change in your job description and how the change has impacted you, and sort of a grief about giving up what you were doing, an excitement about what you might be doing. You know, it just struck me. There's I don't know if you've ever heard of transformational learning theory. It was it's a learning theory that is based on the idea that things that come along and challenge our assumptions throw us into a disorientation, which makes us examine our assumptions and who we are and all of that kind of stuff. It's called a disorienting dilemma. And the idea of transformation is that there's a transformational learning is that there's then a process that leads to new realizations and new strengths uncovered and all those kinds of things. But part of me has thought that, you know, that this has really been a disorienting dilemma for you.
Yeah, it really has been. Oh, this will probably make me cry. Yeah, even in this past week, just really doubting a call to ministry, and yeah, like, I just kind of feel like, where am I? What's going on? On Friday, we had to go to a continuing ed for Leesburg, which I'll write about, but we went to this guy, Mike Slaughter. Have you ever heard of him? He's some big Methodist, which I surprisingly did not like very much because he was pretty assertive, and I thought he was kind of an asshole. But nonetheless, in this time,
he had all the answers, didn't he?
Yeah, he had all the. God, it's so annoying. People that have all the answers, they get to me. Which sometimes my husband is like that, so
oh, dear.
you know, whatever. so he's talking about ministry, and he said something like, you know, he made some mega church out in the middle of nowhere, and the whole time he had in his wallet his union card from the grocery store, because he always tried to remind himself that, like, you know, if there was ever a doubt in his call or his time of ministry, he could always go back and work for the grocery stores. Like, he could always bag groceries. And there are some days where I'm like, what am I doing? Like, why don't I just work at Target or something like that? Like, you know, why am I here? What, you know, what's going on? Why have I changed jobs 4 times? Why do I feel, I don't know, I just feel like, I don't know, real reckoning is happening with me right now, and I was, you know, at the thing yesterday, I was telling one of my friends, Erin, who was there, I was like, I have every right to be, I should be over the moon. I should be so excited about what I'm getting to do at Leesburg. Because it's, on paper, it's like everything that I would have wanted to do. And I'm just not excited. I feel really, like, ill-prepared and stupid and just...
Afraid?
Yeah, I guess afraid that I'm going to fail. Afraid that I'm going to be... Like I said, I think in the last thing, like, I'm going to be found out or something, like... They're going to come up to me and be like, you were a fraud, you lied, you weren't called to this, you aren't good at this, you need to be working at Target, you know? That the hundreds of thousands of dollars that I'm in student debt is just going to be all for naught, that, you know, and then there's other stuff going on, like what's going to happen to our church in 2019, like, all that stuff's freaking me out too, and I don't know, it's just weird, like, on the one hand, I'm like, this is what we wanted, like, this is, you know, great, this is exciting, seize this opportunity and run with it, and then on the other side of it, I'm like, I feel like a deer in headlights, like, frozen, paralyzed, like, somebody's gonna come around the corner and call me out and be like, you're just awful, like, you just need to leave, and I don't know how to get going, like, I feel like a stalled, like, train or something, like, how do you get how do I move past this, like, my sheer will isn't pushing me any further than here, I just feel frozen, and it's frustrating.
Yeah, and, you know, part of me, well, a good part of me identifies a little bit about what you've expressed in 2012, working at the hospital where I was for 9 years, almost to the day of my date of hiring. I get called into my supervisor's office and say, your position's being eliminated. And it was the disorienting dilemma, I guess, of my life. Because it caused me to question everything. You know, who am I? You know, have I just been gliding by, you know, all these years on charm and good looks?
Yeah.
You know?
Is this just luck? Like.
Yeah. So 9.5 months later, I get the call to come here in summer of 2013. And, you know, this is a great place, and I recognized it as a great place. But still, there was a little piece, you know, of me, just being really pissed off that I got laid off.
Yeah. So
there was that part of it. The second part of it was, yeah, I got laid off. I must not be as good as I thought I was, or very good at all. And the third part was just the complete, utter fear of coming here and just having the rug pulled out from me another time.
Yeah.
And how would I cope? And part of me said, well, you know, maybe I need to start driving Uber or,
Yeah.
you know, something like that. But I came here, and I don't know, there was just something where I felt I could risk opening up my heart again, I guess.
Yeah.
And my mind and my spirit, and I think it's worked out.
I keep hearing, like, in the midst of all this, just the phrase, like, stay in your lane just keeps coming up to me. And I think part of that is, you know, what adds to my stuckness is looking over and seeing what I view as success already occurring in a ministry that I was, you know, previously in charge of. So quickly I've stepped out of it and there's success. Like, oh my God. Like, not only am I headed into this ministry that I've never really done before, but then I'm stepping away from another one and it's flourishing. And it's not really, like, I think it would be easy to say, oh, like, you feel that way because Angela's in charge of it. No, I'd feel that way if anyone was in charge of it. Like, I feel embarrassed. Like, that's embarrassing to, like, walk away and see, like, all this stuff happening in, like, a month's time. Like, I'm mortified. Like, it sucks. It sucks. But, you know, you just look and you're like, well, why couldn't I have done that? Like, what's wrong with me? And, like, I know that there are gifts that Angela has that I don't have, and I have gifts that she doesn't have. But it's not really about her so much as it's like, what was I doing for the past year and a half? Like, was my head so far up my butt that I couldn't, like, get a ministry started? Like, dude walks in and a month later it looks like $1 million. Like, and it's just, it's embarrassing. It sucks. And that's all pride and it's all selfishness, and I get that that's not what God calls us to, but I mean, I'm just being honest, like, that's just where I am. It sucks. It sucks for me, not for the church. It's awesome for the church. I'm, like, on the other hand, I'm really excited. Like, it looks great. It's going to be super good for our kids, and it helps our church look so much better, and I'm so glad that, you know, I was given the opportunity to step away and she could step in and it could flourish. But in my heart of hearts, it sucks. It really sucks to look at that and be like, what was I doing? What was I doing? And, like, am I going to do that again in this ministry? Do I just, like, hold a spot in a ministry and then they find somebody else better suited for it and insert them and it flourishes? Like, you know, yeah, I'm having some real, I don't know. It's just rough.
Yeah. Well, you know, I'm not inside your skin. But, I mean, yeah, it feels like this has just sort of been a dagger to your self-esteem.
Yeah.
Which may not have been all that high anyway, right?
No. No, it's not like I was cruising in here with, like, 110% confidence. Yeah, I just, what is it called? The dark night of the soul or something like that. I don't know if I'm to that point, but it just feels bizarre to be thinking about, like, writing ordination papers come next fall. I'm like, what? Like, how could I'm not at that point. I don't know. It's just all, there's so many things. There's so many factors. And so I've kind of enjoyed this because it just helps me to, like, look at myself and be like, okay, everybody's suck in all those other places. But here, I can just look at myself and focus on me and, like, how am I getting better. And I see that, like, I see growth. And, I mean, I'm the only one that sees it, and that's okay. Because that's at least something for me to hold on to right now.
So, yeah, you know, you see it, and I think that's really an important thing. I wonder, if you think you have an opportunity to demonstrate your growth at Leesburg.
Well, maybe not with the people that I would hope would say, like, oh, wow, you're doing a great job, or, you know. Because if I hold my breath until that day comes, I'm going to die, you know. Like, it's never going to happen. And I just, you know, I have to be okay with that. But I do feel like the stuff I'm learning here, even if nobody else can recognize it, like, I'm proud of myself. Like, when the woman who runs our Stephen Ministers called me earlier today, and I was able to, you know, she's telling me all about this conflict, basically, that she's had with this woman, and she just wants me to know so I can be aware. And, you know, I was just able to say, you know, thanks for letting me know, but I think, you know, part of the reason you're sharing this is because she really hurt your feelings. Is that a fair assessment? Yeah, it is. You know, and just being able to say, like, help her see, like, yeah, it was important for me to know this because, you know, I'm their supervisor and I need to know what conflicts are going on. She runs the program. But, like, 6 months ago, yeah, I would not have been able to offer that. I would have just been able to, you know, I would have gotten off the phone and been like, okay, thanks for letting me know, but, like, I was able to actually hear and minister to her in a way 6 months ago I wouldn't have been able to. So while, you know, Jim might not ever see that, or Angela might not ever see that, I see that, and I'm excited about it, because I think it's gonna...
And the people you engage know it.
Yeah, I think it's gonna really help my ministry, and so... Even though it sucks on a lot of levels, like, I'm really happy with what I've been learning, and, like, yeah, it's this program.
But it sounds like there might be a little bit of light around the edges of the S and the K of sucks.
Yeah, so. You know, this program has been so helpful to me in, like, ways I just really didn't expect. I'm crying like we leave tomorrow, but I, like, don't ever want to leave CPE. Yeah, it's just, I really have grown a lot, and I'm really proud of myself. So.
Yeah, I think it sounds important for you to be able to say that and hear it for yourself.
I've had a really difficult, since divinity school, there have been a lot of changes that have gone on in my life, and I think as much as I feel pain right now, and as much as I feel frustration and stuck, I don't think anybody who would have lived my life for the past few years would have felt any other way. I mean, since I graduated in 2014, it's 2018, I've moved twice, had 4 different jobs, had a baby, got married. Like, that's a lot.